Everyone all bundled up. They say it's wintry out there. Maine Coon, he's always prepared. Steve, T-Rex, TK, 39 degrees after 7 a.m. What is going on outdoors today? What is not going on outdoors today? Here in Weymouth, it looks like a snow sky, kinda, but it's not. There's a couple of light raindrops going on right now. We're out the door. Let's back up and close the door to make sure no other cats sneak out. You know how Mitt is. So windy yesterday. And when I got up an hour ago, it was glassy and you could almost see the pink sunrise. Things are moving very quickly here in the Northeast. Different weather every 6 hours this week. It was just about 1 week ago when I went on and said, next week's forecast is wrong. And it was said by some that it was going to be a quiet week, I guess is what I was implying. And I just knew that there was too much cold in Canada, too much warmth in the southern United States, and energy off the Pacific for nothing to happen this week. And for the second morning in 48 hours, or is it 72 hours? What was that? Yeah, Tuesday morning. 48 hours ago, there were thunderstorms in New York. Well, guess what? This morning, thunderstorms in New York. You don't get thunderstorms in November mornings very often, but it's happened twice this week. And all has to do with the gradient. So much cold, so much warmth, a fast, fairly flat flow aloft. But the fact that yesterday, in parts of Missouri, and much of the southeastern United States, south of about 70 or so, it was 80 to 85 degrees. Some of the warmest November weather on record in the southeastern United States yesterday. And at the same time here in New England, it was finger freezing cold all day long. I was in the low 40s all day. So it was the coldest afternoon I've seen so far this year. And even though it's not a very strong low pressure system, it's that kind of gradient with that much less dense warm air riding over the top of the cold air in a very fast flow. It's creating the first snow of the season. Again, how many times have we said that in the last 2 weeks in New England? This morning, reports of snow coming from Vermont, New Hampshire, southern Maine, even close to Boston. David Bagley in Saugus says he had some sleet and snow this morning, and he couldn't resist running his fingers through it. Can't blame you. Peter in Gloucester actually had a little sleet this morning, but it's more to the north. Rick Butler in Ogunquit, he said the news crews were there covering the wintry weather. It's always a spectacle. Hopefully it was more of just a feel-good story and not too alarming. Thank you, Rick Barber, Realtor Rick. I used to have a friend named Rick Butler, so it's kind of on my mind. And yeah, Ogunquit looking very pretty this morning. Appreciate that. And the usual suspects, too, from northern New Hampshire, reporting a coating of snow. Fascinating profile of the atmosphere, as I always say. You see the cloud waves. Can you make out a few cloud waves right in there? See the cloud waves? Up, down. So there's quite a bit of shear in the atmosphere. Let's use the Portland, Maine velocity azimuth display. And down the lowest 3,000 feet, the wind over Portland, Maine is from the east and northeast at about 20 knots, not that strong. You get up to about 5,000 feet, there's no wind at all. And then you get above that, it's in from the west-southwest. And once you get up to 30,000 feet, it's 100 knots. So there's 100 knots of wind over our head today. That's what happens when you have such a sharp gradient between warm and cold. And here is the radar. Blue is snow, green is rain. No, I'm getting a little, obviously it looks worse on radar than it actually is here. I think I'm gonna get a little heavier rain pretty soon. And there is some sleet and freezing rain. Now I think the freezing rain threat is limited to probably just some isolated sort of hill towns in New Hampshire and Maine as it gets warmer up in the sky. Talked about that wind. How about the wind on Mount Washington this morning? When I looked at about 6 o'clock, it was only about 12 miles an hour. Temperature was 19 degrees. And very little wind on Mount Washington in between those two layers. That's what creates that shear and the really fun cloud waves. It's not just one front over us. There's a couple of fronts, one to the north, one to the south. Temperatures starting the day this morning before 7 a.m. was 70 in West Virginia and 25 in Maine. Here we are at 5 minutes. Your weather on TV would have already given you your 7 to 10 day forecast and no meteorology. So we spend a lot of time on the meteorology here. Another front's going to come out of southeastern Canada tomorrow. So today's precipitation moves fairly quickly and the sun should come out in southern New England. Maybe a pop-up shower today, and then tomorrow, this is the HRRR. It shows some scattered snow showers or even a snow squall in northern New England tomorrow as colder air, somewhat like yesterday, maybe even colder, comes back in for the weekend. And it's going to be a strong high-pressure system over the Great Lakes. And that's going to push cooler air all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. There is going to be something coming out of the Gulf of Mexico, but hopefully it's going to miss us to the south. Actually, I shouldn't say hopefully. It's probably going to miss us to the south. I want something to come up from the Gulf of Mexico. I have not seen my first snowflakes yet. Anyhow, that's supposed to miss us to the south. And so a quiet weekend with plenty of cold air for snow guns. So even though there's no snowstorms in the forecast for New England, well, other than today, a few inches, the mountain operation teams at the mountains are going to be making snow all weekend long, and a lot of it too, with dry air and low temperatures. It's a perfect snowmaking weather. And sunshine for most of us, Saturday and Sunday. All right, how about the lower 48, coast to coast? Looks like that storm threat on the west coast is really diminishing. So we're going to have weaker systems coming out of the Pacific, but most of them want to track across Canada. I know a few are trying to miss us to the south here, so we'll watch both of those, and we're going to be split right in the middle. Next week actually looks quiet. After Monday, Tuesday. Now, Monday, Tuesday, did I already show that? Slow it down, rewind. Monday, Tuesday, there's an even colder front trying to come into just New England. So there'll be some more snow showers Monday into Tuesday, and then we will be the cooler corner of the country. But then when that high eventually gets south of us, we will warm up, and after Wednesday, we may challenge some record high temperatures here for a couple of days late next week. That'd be Thursday the 16th, Friday the 17th. Friday the 17th, I think that's opening day at Stowe. Even though it might be really warm, that would be interesting. Opening day, temperature near 50 degrees. Could happen. There'll be plenty of snow. I mean, if they make the snow, and of course they can make the snow. What about the coast-to-coast snowfall? 48 hours ago, we showed California. By late next week, there was supposed to be this perhaps atmospheric river forecast by the Euro guidance. I didn't really check the GFS because I get myself in trouble when I do that. Anyhow, the Euro guidance now says, never mind. No, I don't think so. No big snows for California next week. The same place we showed 84 inches, I think it was Tuesday morning, 2 days ago, now shows 8 inches. So I guess we could say once again, the forecast for next week is wrong. Whatever it says, it's wrong. You want the deep snow now for next week. British Columbia, those are rainforest mountains in southwestern Canada. And that's where the forecast is for 90 inches, but that's up really high. Anyone that's ever been to Whistler knows it can be raining most of the way down at the very top of Whistler. It's snowing. It'll probably be something like that. Anyhow, the track is going to go across Canada next week, and we're going to have really warm air. One more series here, the 850 temperatures. That's around 5,000 feet. You can see the warmer air coming at us today. A little bit of yellow there. The blue is cold enough for snow, and then it gets colder for Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday, a little bit warmer air, and then Sunday afternoon, Monday. Here comes the cold again. Monday night, Tuesday, and first thing Wednesday. And then that last bit of cold in the lower 48 is ours. It pulls out. And coast to coast, yellow and even oranges. Warm, probably record warm in some spots, maybe even away from the coast in New England. There's always room for error. As we talked about last week, there could be some backdoor cold front action or something like that that causes an onshore flow. All right, zooming way out there now. There's Hull, the Hull gut right over there. Looks like we've got a a tugboat coming in, so there'll be some maritime action. I didn't get much action yesterday. Just some fun color late in the day after a very blue sky, windy day. The sky changed again in the afternoon, rapid fire changes, and we came down and did a little sunset chase. Once again, did not disappoint. So congratulations to all of you that have seen your first snow of the season. I'm still waiting, and there's none in sight, seriously, for us here. Looks like it's gonna rain pretty good for the next hour or so. Maybe that'll be part of tomorrow's out the door, my little bit of a downpour here. Cold rain too, for me. Cormorant. Talk to you tomorrow. Really fun color, 4 o'clock. The leading edge of the cloud is raced in this afternoon, but then there's a hole in the cloud, and we're getting some sunlight reflecting off the buildings in Quincy and Boston as it goes over the horizon here by 4:30. Is it gonna light up? Fortuitous hole in the cloud. 4:28, November 8, 2023. Finger freezing cold here in the Northeast, but not far to the south. There are a dozen areas with warmest November weather on record in the 80s in Missouri. That air is trying to come at our cold air, creating this little mini battle for our Thursday. Cold will win out in the Northeast through early next week, but a lot of the nation's going to be warm, and we will get into that warmth in a week, which is probably everything I already said, right? Okay. That's it. Time lapse for what happened from sunrise to sunset today also in the mix for your In More.